So, as you can see, I've come up square to the mastoid bone. Now, I'm going to rotate my clip up. I'm coming like that, slightly rotate. And every next column, slightly going to rotate again. Because you want it to be like you're drawing a line, yeah, or a curve. Rather than straight, rotate it. Because it's not all in one, yeah? So that's why we want to come in and make it look more fluid, yeah? So as you can see, I'm combing everything into my section, yeah? It's going to reduce the weight, and also it's going to stop a disconnection, yeah?
That's the first time you've shared that, right? That on the fade, you go higher on the back?
Yes, yes. Reason why, because we're going so short, we need to clear out the weight, yeah? Because if you think, if I'm going to go to a 0.5 and I take my 2 all the way down here, literally I'm going to make a mushroom. That's what's going to happen. So you need to clear out that weight. Where when I'm going with like a 3 back and side, I can take my 4 coming off that point there, because I don't need to reduce so much, because it's quite long anyway. Yeah? Obviously we need to get rid of all the weight, but that's why we can drop it a little bit lower. Yeah? So after I've come from the back, what do I do next? Exactly. So why do we go from the other side?
Symmetry?
Yeah, to get it even on both sides. Yeah? We're mirroring it, aren't we? Yeah? So, like I said, coming in from the middle, rotating on the spot, coming up square. Yeah? And then by coming with a little rub underneath here, makes you look fluid rather than like a robot. Yeah? And what we're doing is coming up square, so it reduces all that weight out of the way. Yeah? And what do I want you to look for when we're looking in the mirror? While we're doing this, what are we looking for?
Shape.
Shape, for it to be square, right? To reduce all that weight, we get that squared shape. Rather than looking in the mirror and it's coming up square, then it slightly comes out to make like a mushroom shape. That's what we don't want. Yeah? And as you can see, once I've come up square, can you see how I'm coming and giving it a few rubs? And it just, don't you think it makes me look a little bit more like I'm fluid, like I know what I'm doing? Yeah? Another thing that I want you lot to look at is by coming from the side, when you look at the back, you can see if it's coming off square together. Yeah? Rather than coming up and you're going past your curvature and then suddenly it's coming up square and it dips right in. That's the look we don't want, because it's going to wipe out the crown, and also it's going to make the haircut so much more difficult to blend in. Yeah? And also guys, if we go into the curvature, all that's going to make is every other bit we do coming off square. We can get our angle perfect after that. What's going to happen? It's going to look like we're not taking off enough weight because we've gone around the curvature. So every time we're coming off square, we're not going to end up taking any layer off that above because we've gone around the curvature. That's why we need to get that angle perfect, coming up square, taking and reducing all that weight out. Yeah? That's the whole reason why we do it. So, after we've done our first guard, what do we do next?
Put the 0.5 line?
Yeah? To get all the hair off. Yeah? Reason why? Yeah, it's uncomfortable for the client. Yeah? So, now after I've done that, what do I do?
Put the 0.5 layer in?
Yes? Perfect. And do we use the comb?
Fade brush.
Fade brush, yeah? Sorry. We use our fade brush now. So our client's told us that he wants it a mid-fade. So Asa, can you tell me where the mid fade would be?
Mid fade would be basically right on the temple.
Yeah? Cool. Because we want it to be in between the sides, yeah? Remember what I said, how some clients, we do go by the temple here, but also with some clients, if their head's slightly longer, we've got to look to see where the middle bit is. So it could be higher or lower on certain other people, yeah? So, we're going to come in, right from the top of the ear, coming in, rotating up to our line where we want it to be, and just slightly flicking out, just to take that layer on off above it, yeah? Can you see? That is straight, yeah? That line is straight. So now we come into the mastroid bone, we're going to rotate, yeah? Exactly mirroring our two on top. Exactly mirroring it, the same line, dipping down, yeah? And at the same time when I'm doing this, guys, I want you to clear everything off underneath it, because I want to be able to see exactly where your line is, rather than you've put a line in and suddenly there's all little long bits all around the ears. It don't look tidy. And if I'm sitting in your chair and you're cutting my hair, I'm going to look going, it don't look short enough, because you're leaving bits, yeah? So you want to really clear it off so you can see exactly where your line is, where your 0.5 is, or what grade it is. So then when you start fading it out, you can see every little bit of where you need to be starting and ending, yeah? And as you can see with the growth at the bottom, it's growing at a different angle, yeah? So what would I do to get this out? Go the other way, yeah? Go against the grain, yeah? What I don't want to see you doing as well is coming this angle, yeah?
Oh, gotcha. All right.
Yeah? Because it may not take enough off, and also you might end up scratching the client as well. It doesn't feel as comfortable, yeah? So even though I'm coming at this angle, I'm still coming flat with my blades, yeah? So, what am I going to do now? I've stopped at the back. I'm going to match it on the other side, yeah? And how do I match it on the other side, guys? Using my fingers, yeah? And why do I do that?
His face is not symmetrical.
Not symmetrical on both sides. Good. You are listening to me. I like this. So, coming from the bottom of our line that we've already done, using our fingers to match up on both sides, leaving my finger on this side so I can see exactly where I need to put my line. And once I can see it and I'm ready to go, I can come in, following up to it, yeah? It's the same again, guys. And this is so important. When we first come in on the side, it has to be straight. Yeah? Making sure we're coming in straight. Reason why is because if I start to angle on the sides from my hairline to the mastroid line, if I start to angle, coming at an angle, what's going to happen? What's that? Yeah, all you're going to create is you're going from a mid fade, suddenly when you get to the back, it's going to be low, isn't it? Yeah? So by us coming square, it gives us that room to when we do start to rotate, we're not going to drop too low. Yeah? So now I've got to the mastroid bone. You see how I'm slightly starting to angle? I'm not like that. I've come straight, I'm slightly angled. Yeah? It's got to be a smooth transition so it all moves in together, yeah? So after I put this line in, what do I do? Lovely. Yeah, we stand behind because we want to see if it's symmetrical all the way around. And then if we feel, oh, a little bit needs to come off here and there, we can do it, right? So you see how when we're doing our lines, it's all about what we can see. So it's using our mirror and also seeing what's in front of us, taking a step back, yeah? Because what also it is as well, I could look here and go, that looks perfect. And suddenly I look in the mirror and it don't look right, yeah? So we've got to use both of the two, yeah?
So guys, I'm going to do all the ones.
So what I'm going to do now, just because it's so short, yeah, I'm just going to get my taper out of the way quickly, yeah? So I'm going to come with a 0, and I'm going to create a 0 line, yeah?
So how you going to do it?
Coming in, create my 0 line. I could have done this afterwards, but I just thought, do you know what, I might as well get the taper out of the way now, because I've put my 0.5 in, it's quite short, so I might as well just get the taper out of the way as well, yeah? So as you can see, I'm coming up to create a 0 line.
Where are you located? On the bottom?
Well, the bottom of the mastroid bone is here. So I want to flick it out with a 0.25, what will connect me to the bottom of the mastroid bone. So I want to put my 0 line pretty much right in the middle of that, yeah? Just to fade it out. The other way you can do it is working your way down, coming up with your 0.25 and then working down to a 0. But because it's such a short space to blend, I'm just going to put a 0 in, yeah? It just makes it easier where I want my taper to pretty much finish, yeah? Because it's so short, yeah? But normally, I would work down my grades, coming from the bottom of my mastroid bone, coming out, flicking out, C motion, yeah? The only time you would not go by the bottom of your mastroid bone is depending on how low your fade is. So if your fade was a low fade, obviously you need to take it lower, take into consideration that you're not coming into your line, yeah? Same again, guys, we can see the growth. So I'm coming at a different angle. That's another thing we've got to take into account of when we're doing our tapering, is the way how the hair grows, the colour of the hair as well, yeah, because if the hair is really light, you've got to take into account, you know, if it's really a light colour, like really light blonde or something like that, if I end up taking my taper too high, what's going to happen? It's going to look a lot shorter, yeah, than what it wants to be. So for instance, if this client was, let's say, having a 2 back and sides, and I go, oh, you know, it's really light blonde, what I'll do is I'll take the taper really high. What's that going to make? It's going to make it look like he's bald right at the bottom. Yeah, by the time I get to my 1 or my 0.5, he's going to look bald. So we've got to take into account the colour, the hair density of how much there is. It could be very fine, so you've got to take that into account of making it all level, yeah? And also, the way the hair grows, yeah? They're the 3 things that we need to take into account.
This is, I'm not going to lie to you guys, this is the best shape ever. It's a very, 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 very smart standard shape.
Matthew, don't worry about it for a second. I just want you to come and have a look at this quickly. So, we're doing a 0.5 fade. We've gone off with our 2, like normal. Because anything below a 2, what do we start with? Anything below a 2, I'm doing a 1 fade. What do I start with? What's my first guard? Yeah. So anything below a 2, we start with a 2. Yeah? Then, I've now found out the client wants a mid fade, so I've gone with a 0.5 true. Yeah? And now all I'm doing is just the tapering. Just because it's so short, I just want to get the tapering out of the way. But normally, we'll do the fade, then come to the taper at the end. Yeah? So, I've done my 0 now, guys. I'm going to come in between a 0.25, and I'm just going to flick out the line that I've created. Yeah? And that will take me up to the bottom of the mastroid bone. And then my tapering will be done. Yeah?
So this is like a...
And as you can see, guys, I'm coming in and rotating in a C motion, yeah? as we can see as well, I've cleared off all them hairs that are growing at a different angle, that if I don't get them, it's going to make the hair look long. Man, another thing I said, with the tapering, there's 3 things that we take into account when we're tapering. 1, being the hair growth. It grows at all different directions. 2 is the colour of the hair. So if the hair is very light, like a really light blonde, and we end up, say we're doing a 2 back and sides, and I go down to a 1 or a 0.5, it may look, what's the word I'm looking for? For the client to see the back, it'll make them look like it's a lot shorter than what they actually wanted. So we've got to take into account of how, you know, how short it's going to look. So for instance, if a client wants a 2 back and sides or a 3, and suddenly I'm doing down to a 1, it may look fine on your hair, but on his, it could make it look like a 0. So we've got to take that into account, yeah? And also is the hair density. So for instance, if their hair is quite patchy, or it's quite fine, you know, we may have to take it slightly higher to match it all, or slightly lower. Yeah, these are the things that we need to take into account, yeah? So, this is another thing that I want you lot to know as well, because I've said it enough times, and these are little mistakes that I don't want to see you doing anymore. We do our clip work, yeah? Once we do our clip work, what comes next? We finish the clip work, what happens next? Tapering, then after tapering? Outlining, yeah? So we taper the back, taper around the edges, and then outlines, yeah? If we're doing mini clip over comb and it's long enough to do that around the edges, once we're tapering, we're putting the lines in at the same time. I don't want to see you taper the whole lot on both sides and then come into it. You might as well do it on the same time, yeah? So, I've done my tapering now. I've cleared that off. I've done a 0.5. What do I go in now? Fade in, but what grade?
175.
Exactly the same thing, yeah? Because we still need to connect from our 0.5 to our 2, yeah? So now we're going to go with our 1.75 fade, yeah?
So basically with this 0.5 fade, there is no tapering or outlining right now.
What's that, sorry?
With the 0.5 fade, there is no tapering or outlining right now.
No, I've just tapered the back, but afterwards I'm going to use like a 0.25, that's the next grade down, just to taper around the edges, but I'll do that at the end. I just wanted to knock out the back.
And just to confirm, for the neck taper, the nape of the neck, you went...
I've done a 0 line.
0.5 and then you did the 0 line.
Yeah.
And then...
0.25 to flick it out.
Which is like halfway open.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
In between both.
Just to blend the two, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or you could have done it the opposite way, going to 0.25 and then 0. Yeah? Cool. So, I'm now going to come in with my 1.75, and this is a thing that I see all of you doing. I don't want to do it. I don't want to see it anymore, because we're week 5 and we should be beyond this now, yeah? So, when we're coming in, I want you coming at an angle. This angle here, yeah? A lot of you are coming in too flat. So it's not going to push that line up. That's the whole reason why we're coming at that angle. So what it's going to do is it's going to lift that line up higher. So when we start to rotate, that line we've just brought up, it's going to end up bringing it up when we're coming flat, yeah? And that will take away the weight, yeah? That's the whole reason why we do it. Because what I see a lot of you doing is you're coming flat, you're not taking that line up, and in time you come to the end and you've used your final grade, suddenly you're looking and go, I don't know why the line's not going, yeah? This is why, because we need to come at that angle to push that line up, to come into our fade when we're gonna rotate to come up square, yeah? So, you can see, I'm coming in, I'm rubbing on the line. Because the grade is quite long now, it's not gonna do that much on the line, yeah? But I want you to get used to doing that with every grade, so you can start pushing it up. So when you get to a shorter grade, it will reduce it, yeah? So, rubbing on the line, rotating, coming up square. As you can see, when I'm rubbing, I rub a couple times or whatever it needs, and then once I go to drop back, I then come in with a motion of letting the clipper rotate itself and coming up square. And as you can see, look how high I'm coming. I've come up square, yeah? Obviously you don't need to come up this high, but this is to show you that I am making sure I'm clearing every single bit of hair that I need to, yeah? Because what I don't want to see is you rubbing, rotating, and then stopping here and then coming away. there's still a little bit of a layer that you need to take away, and that's why you end up making weight, and then what you end up having to do is using your hire guard to get it out. Yeah? Where if you just came up square all the way until there's no more hair to cut, it'll be a lot less work for you to deal with at the end. That's the whole reason why we get you to do this, yeah? So, after you do your first column, another thing, guys, what I want to see you do. When we're measuring our columns, we always do it from the size of our clipper teeth, yeah? So, if one column is here, and I've got my next column there, I don't want to see you slightly coming over because you're wasting time, yeah? I don't mind if you're using a bit of your previous of like that much, but I want you to move down your columns. Because all you're going to do, because Joel was doing it last week, is he was literally moving around the head at that much. He was taking that much more. So let's say, for instance, example, there was 10 columns on the head. You working your way around. Suddenly Joel's using about 30. What's that going to add, guys? Time. A waste of time. Yeah. So that's why we're using the width of our teeth on our clipper work to move to our next column. Yeah, and it's going to be a lot more quicker to do. You've seen it when I've come round to quickly finish your work, how quick I can do it. Yeah, that is what you need to be striving to, is doing it as quick as possible. Yeah, obviously correct, you want to do it correct, but you don't want to add time for pointlessness. Yeah, so I'm on the next column, rubbing, rotating, coming up square, always combing in the hair into your column. Yeah. So, next column, I've done the second column here now. I'm now going to move into my next column. Yeah? As you can see, I'm rubbing at this angle. I'm coming at an angle. I don't want it too flat, at an angle, yeah? Rubbing, rotating, coming up square. Moving on to my next column. So you can even see now, this section here, I've done. So when I come to my teeth now, this was my last bit, I want to have a slight bit of my teeth over my previous, yeah? Rather than coming too far over and then I leave a gap right in the section where I miss. That's why I tend to take a little bit of my previous, yeah? So, this is where I ended. I'm resting my clipper slightly over, rotating, rubbing on the line, rotating, coming up square, yeah? You see how once I do it, I'm rubbing, rotating, coming up square, and then I'll do just a little bit more of a rub underneath, just to make sure if I haven't cleared everything, yeah? Same again, rubbing, rotating, coming up square. And can you see how I'm doing it in a smooth motion? It's all coming in together, rather than rubbing, flat, come up square, yeah? Because all that's going to do is by us just coming straight flat, we're going to miss that in between of building it all together. Because what you've got to remember, by us rubbing, we're lifting up that weight, yeah? So if I suddenly go flat and I miss that in between stage, all we're going to do is just add. We're going to leave that sort of weight line right in the middle. So once you finish all your clip work, you're going to look and see lines everywhere. And you're going to think, why have I done this? And the reason why is because you're not moving in a smooth motion altogether, yeah? So, rubbing, rotating, coming up square, yeah? Rubbing, rotating, coming up square. And as you know, I'm going to repeat it again, I don't need to start from the hairline now once I've come to the back. Because I've put in my lines to match up, now I'm just moving all the way around, yeah? Rubbing, rotating, coming up square, yeah? I'm going to show you lot something quickly. By coming in at that angle, and you see this weight line I've just added?
Yeah.
That's why, what I'm doing is I'm pushing up this line of the weight that I've got there, and I'm pushing it higher. Then, by me rotating on it, I'm going to go up. If I just go flat now, still got a slight weight line. You see how that's why we need a smooth motion of rotating in together, because you're literally getting every little bit of hair and coming in as one. Yeah? And guys, I hope you lot are all taking this in, because what I've noticed in our demos is I'm teaching you these things, and literally once you get a haircut like this, it's like you forget everything. It's like I've not even taught you. Yeah? These are the things that I don't want. I want you to take every little bit in, and you know, I don't mind it slightly being wrong so I can correct you, but if you're not doing it at all, it's like I've not even told you. And it's quite frustrating, yeah? So, after I've done that now, what am I going to move down to? 1.5 fake, yeah? Good. I'm doing exactly the same thing again. Yeah? Coming in, rubbing, rotating, coming up square, yeah? And as you can see, I'm moving into my 2 still. I'm taking a slight layer off my 2 because I want it all to blend in together, yeah? Rubbing, rotating, coming up square. And I may be saying that so many times about rubbing, rotating, and coming up square. The reason why I keep repeating it is because when you're doing your clipper work, I want that to stick in your head. So every time you come in, okay, rubbing at an angle, then I'm rotating, and then I'm coming up square. That's what I want you to be repeating in your head, yeah? Rubbing at this angle, rotating.
And rubbing and rotating at the same time.
So rubbing like this, yeah? Then I come down, and then I'm gonna rotate. So I've rubbed my line out, then once I come back down, I'm rotating and letting it go in. Where when I'm doing the line, I'm just rubbing on the line, yeah? Once I come down, I'm gonna let it move into one motion, yeah? So rubbing, rotating, coming up square. So now we can actually see that it's starting to reduce a lot of that weight, and it's all starting to blend in, yeah? And what do we call this section, guys? I've done the 0.5, and my 0.5 to my 2, what do we call that?
Fade zone.
Our fade zone, yeah? So the reason why anything below the 2, the reason why we put in a line is so we know exactly where we want our fade to finish, yeah? So if someone comes in and goes, oh, I want a I want my 1 to be midway, yeah? Rather than doing a 2 and then just working down our grades, because you've got so many grades to deal with, you know, time you get to your 1, suddenly your 1 may be a little bit lower than where the client wanted it. And all that's going to do is make it look longer than what they want it to be, because you've taken it lower. By us putting in the 1 line, or the 0.5 line in this case, you're seeing exactly where they want it, and then you're just fading it out. So it makes it easy to see where you're starting and finishing, yeah? So, 1.5 true, yeah? Exactly the same thing again, coming in, rubbing at an angle, and then moving into one smooth motion coming up square, yeah? And as you can see, when I'm coming to the mastroid bone, I'm slightly angling my clip up, yeah? Because we're leaving all this weight here for our crown. If I suddenly just keep coming up square the whole time, what's going to happen? Exactly. I'm going to erase where I've just put my 2, yeah? And then it's just pointless, yeah? You just waste the time. So we've still got to rotate with every clipper grade. We're mirroring every grade, yeah?
So wherever I am on the face, I adjust it. Yeah. Jawline, very dominant. So I'm literally up and over side. Nice and controlled though. Make sure what you can see now is that sitting in right.
And now you can start to see it just getting shorter and shorter, blending in as one, yeah?
What we do is clean back the layer so we can see what we need to work out right now. That's basically what we're trying to achieve. Coming through, walking through them here.
Now I won, yeah? With the teeth closed, I won. Exactly the same thing again, rubbing, rotating and coming up square.
What I will avoid doing is showing you
And now we can start seeing that the line's starting to fade out even more now, yeah? And the reason by us coming in at that angle, so when we get to our shorter grades, it actually reduces so much more of that line. Because look what I've done. I've done a 1, yeah? I've still got to use my green card, and my line is taking out a lot more than some of yours that I'm seeing when you've actually finished all your grades. That shows that you're not coming at the right angle to reduce that line, yeah? All you're doing it all the same steps. You're just going to make your life so much easier, yeah? Trust me, I don't want to come over every time going, that's rubbish, that's right. I want to come over and say, well done, like that looks amazing. You know, I'm not here just to like make you lot upset. That's not the reason why. I just want it to be perfect, do you know what I mean? So that's why I want you to take in every little detail that I do so you can see. So now you can see that line is very vague now, yeah? So after that, 0.75 with the teeth open. Yeah? Same again. Rubbing, exactly the same thing. Rotating. Because the grade is a lot shorter now, it's a lot finer, we've got to make sure that we're definitely angling out at the right space, yeah? So rubbing, so bring up that line, and then a smooth motion rubbing it to rotate to come up square.
Do you push a bit harder then or not?
No. Remember how I showed you how light?
Yeah.
If you look, guys, I'm going to come in, I'm going to rub. Now, I'm going to come and let my clipper do all the work. Look at that. I'm just going to come up square. See how light I am? Yeah? What I'm seeing some of you doing, James is doing, is he's coming in, and once he's coming up to level up, his clipper is naturally wanting to rotate on the shape of the head. But what he does is he's pushing against it again, so he's going in the curvature. Let the clipper do what it wants to do. It's telling you what the right thing is to do. Yeah? All you're doing is guiding it. So rubbing, rotating, coming up square, yeah?
At this point, do you really see a line? Or, I mean, you kind of have an idea of where you positioned it.
Yeah.
I don't really see a line.
That was where my line was.
Right.
Yeah? Rubbing, rotating, coming up square. Now, when we start moving on to the back, especially with your shorter grades, you'll see that there's a lot more density here on the back, yeah? So, as you can see, the line looks a lot more vague. Not vague, it looks more clear, should I say. So, the way how we get around that is slightly, you know, with our rubbing, we want to slightly bring it up a little bit more higher. We've got more room to play with. Because it's so thick, you need to bring it up. So where before, we've got our line right in the middle, and we're slightly bringing it a centimetre higher, a centimetre lower when we rub it, yeah? But with this, I'm gonna go slightly higher because it needs it to clear out that line, yeah? If I just do it exactly the same, all I'm gonna do is still have a massive weight line, yeah? So we're rubbing and we're rotating and coming up square. obviously at the same time me saying that, we don't want to bring it too high. Yeah? But you'll see it, even when you're rubbing, you'll stand back and go, actually there is a bit still weight at the back. I now know I need to slightly bring it higher. With your sides, you won't really get that. Yeah?
You want to finish that C motion
Yeah?
at the top of that centimetre you're talking about.
Not C motion, just rubbing up and down. C motion is the taper, yeah?
And I mean, you rub it and then
Yeah.
you scoop it.
Yeah.
So at that scooping point,
Yeah.
at the top of where you've been rubbing at the centimetre, is that when you want to?
Let me have a look.
You told me last week, right, that you don't really want the clippers to come off the head when you're doing
Yeah.
Something like that.
You don't want the clip to come off the head. So when you are rotating, it's pretty much, once it gets to that line where you've just brought it up to, it is going to start to come more flat on the head. But because you're moving in one motion, you're building up and bringing that weight line that you just created up with you. So you're moving it with you. By coming off the head and coming flat, you're going to miss it. That's why it's all one motion with the head, with the clipper stuck to the head. Yeah? So once I've done that now, this is the only difference now. Go down to our 0.5 fake with the teeth closed, yeah? And all we're going to do is I'm going to only use a few of my teeth, yeah? Coming at an angle again. You know when we're rubbing? Coming at that same angle and only using a few of our teeth to clear out that line, yeah? So when I come in, coming in, and all I'm doing is moving up and down a centimetre to clear out that line, yeah? And this thing they call like the W shape, or you can call it a V shape. And what they mean by that is we're using a few of the teeth on each side. So as you can see, I'm moving this way, so I'm rubbing with this. Once I'm going to come this way, I'm going to use my teeth. So it's whatever feels comfortable for you. You can use the same shape all the way round.
Can I just confirm? So with the 0.5 guard, what you just did was with the guard fully open.
Yes, that was 0.75.
So 0.75, and then you.
This is 0.5 fake with the teeth closed. Yeah? And this, we're just rotating with our teeth. This is the only guard that we don't come up all the way. Yeah? And the reason this is why is because we're trying to just refine that line now. Because this is so close to where we put in our line. Yeah? So we want to just rub on that line, yeah?
And you said it's got a W kind of shape to the rub?
Yeah, if you see, I'm rubbing, it's like I'm creating a sort of W shape, yeah? But you don't have to do that. You could use the same size all the way around. But it just makes it more freer to just move off both sides, yeah? And as you can see, I'm at this angle. But what you want to take into account is slightly angling away from the head, just to use that few of that teeth. Because what could happen is if I'm more flat, I can end up taking it shorter above. That's what I don't want to be doing. All I want to target is that line, yeah? So always being aware you're angling away from the head using a few of the teeth, yeah? So rubbing on the line. All the way around. And then on this bit you can put down the head just to stretch it out. So would you like to just put your head on this? Yeah, that's perfect, thank you. So we can see these weight lines here? So we want to come in. And also guys, what this helps is if people have sort of dips in their head, we can get right in them gaps to stretch out that weight line. Yeah? You see how on the back I'm slightly bringing it higher? Yeah? Because of the density, because it's so much there, we need to stretch it out even further, yeah? Because if I'd done the same amount of space that I've done with all my other guards when I'm rubbing, on the back it won't get out. You'll still see a line. So you need to bring it up slightly higher, yeah? And the reason why I'm stretching it, so we can really get that weight out, yeah? Put your head up. So, rubbing on the line. Making sure, guys, we're coming at that angle right here, the temple. Everyone keeps leaving length there, yeah? Another thing that I see when people are doing their columns, they tend to leave a slight bit of their first column with weight and length. And suddenly they want a 2 back and sides and it looks like they've got a 4 on this bit. Don't want to see that anymore, yeah? Making sure you're coming in, 2 wheeling around this corner here to clear off that length, yeah? Don't worry about the fringe. When you comb the hair down, whatever falls into your first column, you take off. Yeah, the only time you don't is if you're doing a disconnected fringe, and that's when you're going to part the fringe out of the way. You're still going to come up that column though, yeah? So now, I want you to just see this bit. So, once we've done this line, we've now brought up the line. And as you can see, it's slightly made a bit of a weight just above the line. Can you see it, guys? If you see here, this is where our line was. Now it's caused a bit of weight above it. Yeah? It'll be all the way around. The way how we get that now is to go in between our 0.75 and our 0.5 fade to 0.625. Just imagine it's the same thing without the guard being 0.25, but you've got this on, so it's 0.625.
So this is just halfway.
Literally right in between both. Yeah? Right in between both.
Okay.
And now, all we're going to do is we're going to come flat to the head and we're just going to rub, flicking out on the line that we just created again. Yeah? So we're not bringing it all the way up, we're just refining that. So as you can see, this is where that weight line is. I'm going to come in and I'm literally just flicking out. That's all I'm doing. Yeah? Flicking out on that line. And all that's going to do is bring up so it all blends in again, yeah?
So we went 0.75, then down to a 0.5 with the edge of it.
Yeah.
And then up to halfway between the two.
Yeah, just flicking on that weight line we've created, just to refine it, yeah?
And the original 0.5 we put in was without any guard, wasn't it? With
Yes.
it just fully open,
Yeah.
a true 0.5.
Whatever grade the client wants, 0.5, 1, 1.5, always go with your true, yeah? Or should I say the 0.5 and the 1.5, you always go with your true. The green guard and the purple guard is your fading guards, to blend it out, not to create the line, yeah? Because all what's going to happen is suddenly this client has a 0.5, I go with this fake guard, and he's going to go, oh, it looks a little bit long, yeah? And also, this is for me to fade it out anyway. So if I do it with this, I've just got less to fade with, yeah? As you can see, guys, just flicking on that line. I'm not doing a whole massive like that. It's literally just rotating on that line. That's all I'm doing, yeah? And this is what we call refining, yeah? So it's just that last little touch up of the fade. see, guys, we ain't got them lines no more. Yeah? Nice and clean, yeah? So all I'm going to do now, I'm going to go to 0.25 in between, because I'm dropping that one bit lower than the 0.5, just to taper around the edges, yeah? And all I'm going to do is two wheel, yeah? Just around the edges.
So the oil now acts to get a lubricant. So now, again, the traditional method is you work against the bone. Now, obviously, I've tried quite sensitive. There's a few spots that are quite sensitive. So, I don't want to risk that.
And all I'm going to do now as well, guys, is just fade out the sideburns as well. Remember what I said, how I go by the bone? And I just fade out from there. Yeah, so it's just a small space to deal with. And we just check to see how long the hair is. Let's say it's a 2, I'd go with a 1.5 and then just blending up, yeah? And we know we want whatever's below it to be longer, and then once we work to the sides, we get shorter, yeah? Coming in, and then I come up slightly like a centimetre higher with my next guard and just blending it out, yeah? Because there's no curvature to go off from. So it's not like we can put all the grades into one like we do on the side, yeah? It just looks nice and tidy for the client, yeah? And we can even do a little bit of tip over comb. And as you can see, I'm angling out because I want this side to be shorter than the beard, yeah? Because the beard's longer. So rotating just to blend it in. Same on the other side, angling out from the bottom. So whatever the shortest point is, that's what we want to angle closest to, yeah? So because the beard is longer, I want to angle more away from it. So it just gradually goes into it, yeah? Now, outlines, guys, yeah? Always checking your blades as well, yeah, that they're not scratching. And all I'm doing, guys, coming flat to the head again, not at this angle, because it's going to create a line. Coming flat to the head, C motion, flicking out. Yeah? And it's like I'm coming just below where I've done my taper, where I've done my 0, I'm coming just below it so I can flick out, yeah? Same again on this side. These are all things that you should definitely know now when it comes to tapering and outlines, yeah? So as you can see, I'm coming straight on this side, then I'm using 2 wheeling to match it in together, following round on the other side, closest to the ear, up to the top of the ear, coming from the top of the nostril, 2 wheeling to join it in together, yeah? Once we've done that, we can clear off any other little bits of hair around the ear, and then we start from the top of the nostril bone, that's our guide now, to follow it straight into the back of the neck, yeah? And we're slightly coming in.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah?
When we're putting that line in, I had someone the other day where the back of the neck was there's a lot of growth that
Yeah.
kind of meant that line was really difficult to see.
Yes.
Is there any rule of thumb in terms of trying to put it in from scratch?
All it is, by us coming round to the top of the mastoid bone, that gives us our guide. And what we don't want is it to be straight down, because it makes the neck look really wide, yeah? And also, it's like you're just slightly tilting in, and you're just coming straight from that bit there. That's all it is, yeah? Because what you want to do is you want to try and make it look as natural as possible. Like you want it to look like his hairline naturally grows like that, yeah?
And that's just using your eye to sort of judge what
Yeah.
looks the most fitting for their shape
Yeah.
of neck and head.
Another way we can kind of get off track on that is when the client's head is not straight.
Yeah, that's another thing. You want them to be as straight as possible with their head. Because if they're slightly angled over, you're going to do that angle thing, and I've done it straight. Suddenly they lift up and it goes a bit wonky. Same way when we do our beards. You know when we do the beards underneath? And how I say slightly just have them up so you can see it properly, yeah? So after I've done that now, guys, I'm going to clean all the hair off. And whenever we do this, we have it with cold air, yeah? Clean around the neck as well, so the client's not itchy. Now guys, we're going to wet the top of the hair, yeah? Yep.